Breaking news, the Bitcoin mining industry is changed forever. Jack Dorsey's proto mining launches the rig. I hope you guys are staying around for that exciting hook that we had there.
I hope you'll be able to look your sons in the eye in 10 years.
Oh, it's all in jest. It's been a fun day, though. It's been a pretty cool event. In all seriousness, though, it is I think it was a pretty big announcement today.
I mean, from afar, it seems like a massive announcement. You're on the ground over there. Why don't you give us the down low?
Yeah. So for those who are unaware, I'm currently, I think it's disclosed in Georgia, the unveiling of Proto, which is a subcompany of Block, formerly Square, which is now a subsidiary of Block. They launched their mining rig called the Rig today. And
Great name.
Yeah, great name. Incredible name.
Wait, is it? There's not even the in front of it, right?
It's just rig. Yeah, you buying rigs. But yeah, it's pretty profound. I think they were very meticulous in terms of getting feedback from many miners in the industry, discovering their pain points and trying to design a product, a full suite product, not only from the hardware, but also up to the software to solve a lot of longstanding issues that have existed that Bitmain and MicroBT have, for some reason or another, refused to address. And so the big difference with Rig is it's a modular miner with sort of flexibility and what's the other word? The sort of customizability in terms of what you actually get, depending on what your mining operation looks like. So they have, as you can see here, hash boards that you can easily slide in or out. They have
awesome.
They have fans that you can pop off and fix. And there you're seeing a look at the software side of things, the mining management software. And so, yeah, this is pretty big for many reasons. And on top of that, I think fully loaded rig will get you around 830 terahash, can get efficiency up to 14.1 joules per terahash, which is not the cutting edge that Bitmain has with 12.5 joules per terahash right now, but I think it's competitive enough. And I think most importantly is built for durability. Thomas Templeton, who's designed a lot of the hardware at Square, part of his speech is like, hey, we design hardware to be durable because it has to be. At Square, if you're at a bar or a restaurant and your point of sale device gets wet, like you got to keep accepting payments. Similarly with what we built with Rig, so they built essentially a box where you can replace the hash boards instead of having to buy a whole new mining machine. You just buy new hash boards and you replace them. And their marketing, and they believe that these boxes will be durable for up to 10 years, depending on.
Did they? Well, first of all, I mean, Tom and the rest of the hardware team over there is, they're best in class. First of all, they're awesome people to hang out with, and second of all, they're best in class in terms of product. So that's not surprising. Did they mention a price or date? It looked like some are already in operation, right? Like you actually saw them in operation.
Yeah, we're at a Core Scientific site, so Core Scientific has them plugged in. And yeah, there was a big wall. I've got a video I'll share later. So they're operational. I don't know what I'm allowed to disclose in terms of when they'll get to market. I've been talking to the guys behind the scenes. I think they'll be in market for the broader market. I think at the very latest in 2026. But
I mean, it sounds like they're kind of in market already, right? Just
Yeah.
like they're selectively being used. So that's a good sign.
Yeah.
That means it's probably soon.
So this is
But price is undisclosed, right?
price, and then, like, that's the thing. I think price is dependent on what you actually buy, depending on your particular operation. So that, I think that's the beauty of what they've built and designed, is the modularity and customizability of the rigs, is that it's sort of what do you need? What are you solving for? Are you solving for? Are you in a desert? Are you in the middle of an oil field? Are you in the middle of a temperate climate doing air cooled? Are you doing hydro?
Yeah, I mean, I
it's
say it can be used for immersion or air, but
yeah,
isn't the idea you buy the full setup and then as hash boards either break or need to be upgraded, you're pulling them out, and as PSUs need to be replaced or upgraded and fans need to be replaced and upgraded, then you're starting to buy the individual parts. But like when you do your first order, is it not like you're kind of getting like the whole chassis and everything together? No.
yeah. But I think what was a bit deceiving is like the chassis. I think they what you saw like the big box. I think it was 3 chassis at one, so like you can even customize it like around the chassis design as well, depending on what your rack
That's
space is.
awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, I think, well, first of all, we haven't seen it's amazing to see great competition actually emerge for Bitmain and MicroBT. What most people don't realize is the founder of MicroBT is ex Bitmain too. So we haven't seen, real external competition happen um, pretty much ever since the dawn of Bitmain in the early days of ASICs. So that's fucking awesome. I mean, I think what people are really sleeping on is in an actual mining operation when you have tons of miners operating in either big warehouses or storage containers or whatnot. What happens a lot, particularly if you're in bad conditions, is you'll have hashboard failures, right? Where dust is getting in the miners or just from age or power issues or whatnot. And in those situations, you have to pull the whole miner from the line. You have to bring it into a lab. I was at one of Penguin's mining facilities, and one of the coolest things they did was they trained locals and had an in-house clean lab to repair hashboards and replace hashboards. But that whole time you're doing that, you're not mining with the rest of the hashboards that are part of that machine. In this situation, you can literally just hot swap a single hashboard
Hmm.
from one of the chassis and just you're up and running again. So even if it's a slightly more expensive, like all in original cost, long term, it should be significantly more profitable to mine using these things.
Yeah, because the chassis are durable, and if your hashboards crap out, you just buy new hashboards instead of new machines.
And you literally just slide it out and slide it back in. Talk about
Yeah,
like also like the training difference, right? Like they were like picking apart like pieces of hashboards and shit. The level of training for the person who's replacing the hashboards has got to be a lot less too.
yeah, and that's like again like full stack, really well thought out design. Like the software that they built on top of it, like it's if you've ever logged into like stock
It's
firmware,
horrible.
MicroBT, Bitmain, it literally is like built on Windows 7, and you get these error codes. You don't know what they mean. You have to go to the individual miner and sort of like play around with it. But they built like a
You feel
beautiful,
like you're managing like a router from like 1990, like a Netgear router from like
yeah,
1997.
yeah. And they've built a full suite. Like you can even like they like you can run their software with MicroBT or Bitmain hardware as well. So you can like from like the software perspective
Well, there's
and
two pieces, right? There's like the fleet management software, which I guess they're calling Fleet.
mhm.
Very clean naming scheme. But then this, I mean, it actually ships with open source firmware, which is a complete game changer on its own, right?
Yeah, because that's the historically been the biggest. I was talking to Eric from Gridless about this. We took the bus out to the site together this morning. I was talking to him, and like that's one of their going back to again the customizability for different mining environments. Like what they're doing at Gridless, like they need demand response and they need the firmware to be very responsive. Like he was explaining, like he would love instead of turning 5 miners off and then having to turn them back on, which really messes with the hash boards. Like I would love to turn 15 miners down 2/3 of the way, so I don't have to do that stop restart, which fries the hash boards. And this software and firmware allows you to do that pretty simply in a very intuitive way too. And then on top of that, they have AI tools that like connect to the weather, like weather apps, and
Hmm.
electricity pricing apps. They sort of do diagnostics on your fan life cycle, and they'll like give you a warning like, hey, it looks like you're probably a month away from needing to replace these fans. You should buy them now. And from the part supply, they have that. They have ownership over that whole thing, and so like you'll get an update from the software like, hey, you need to replace this part in X amount of weeks, and you can buy it right here. So it's really simplifying the whole process.
Game changer.
Yeah,
I mean, I think it's crazy. Like, so much of the industry has been caught up in this hype of the Bitcoin treasury companies. And then meanwhile, Block's just like been quietly building like a well-rounded Bitcoin juggernaut. It's fucking
yeah,
massive.
yeah. It's fun. I'm excited for. Obviously, we have a lot of friends on the block team. Been working for them, working with them for a while, and I'm pumped for them. It was a big day for them. Big day for the industry. Big day for Bitcoin. We've said it many times. I said it on a podcast 2 weeks ago. I was asked what's the most centralizing part of the Bitcoin ecosystem. In my mind, it's two parts: ASIC manufacturing and Bitcoin mining pools. And one of those just got a little bit more distributed today, which is good to see.
I mean, and Jack has his hands in both, right? I mean, or even on three sides, right? Because he's, I believe, the largest investor in Ocean mining pool. Obviously, they're changing the game in terms of actual hardware with the A6 here. And then Spiral, his nonprofit focused on open source development, is spearheading Stratum V2, which I saw was a key point out of the box. These support
Mm.
Stratum V2 as well.
Yeah, that's a very important point to bring up. Stratum V2 will be out of the box compatible with the rigs. I like the name the rigs. It's really they
Yeah,
nailed it.
rig, fleet, very clean. I mean, I like Proto too, proto.xyz. If you want to learn more, it's at proto.xyz. It's a very strong domain name.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, I think this is also, I didn't have this on the list, but it is because this is a Bitcoin show, but it is kind of relevant given this news. I mean, mining decentralization and the robustness of the mining ecosystem is a key part of Bitcoin's security model, and something that all stakeholders think about at length. And basically, at this point, the entire quote unquote crypto industry has moved over to proof of stake because they think proof of work is a problem. And they're absolutely wrong about that. And I think time will prove us right. And I don't really want to go into the specifics of why proof of work is better. I think, like I said, I think time will prove us right, except for one chain, which is Monero. And Monero has
Oh
been
yeah.
under attack recently from like some kind of shitcoin
Yeah. What
operation.
is
It's
the
like,
dynamics? Is it like a merge mine shitcoin that what's it called?
I,
Cubic?
yeah, it's like some low cap, like super low cap shitcoin that has their own Monero mining pool. And I guess when they mine Monero, they buy qubit with it and then burn the qubit to try and pump the price. And they're trying to 51% attack Monero. I
Dang, this
think they
that's
don't.
like good
I
for the
think they're
order.
like, yeah, I think
And
they're more around like the 30% point. You know, it's hard to know for sure. But they did a couple big reorgs. They didn't do any actual double spend attacks where they like try and commit fraud on exchanges. Um, so right now, I mean, if you are using Monero, it's a relatively easy mitigation to just require more confirmations, um, because they haven't been able to sustain incredibly large reorgs. I mean, Monero's block times are much smaller than Bitcoin too.
that's
I
what I'm looking
think
up.
it's
Two
I think it
minutes,
averages 2 minutes. So a 6 block reorg is really like almost like
one
it's
block.
12 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah.
But just something. I think it just highlights why making sure the mining ecosystem is robust is so important, and it was timely that that kind of happened at the same time. That block pretty much like you know shot a missile across the bow of Bitmain and MicroBT, the two massive heavyweights in the
Yeah.
Bitcoin mining industry.
Yeah. And Dora, who's on their hardware team, I think she made it a point to express that they intend to manufacture most of their parts in the United States too, which is massive.
That's awesome.
I think a lot of speculation to the price point. I don't think it's very clear right now. I think many people are expecting it to be premium pricing from a dollar per terahash perspective, but I think other people I saw on Twitter were saying, "Oh, this is not up to snuff with Bitmain's state of the art machines, which are at 12 and a half joules per terahash, even if you get to 14.1." But I think those people are missing like less efficient machines are sometimes better for different mining environments. Like if you're doing off peak mining and you're not mining 24/7, like less efficient, if you can get the price point right, actually makes sense. If you're doing off grid
Yeah.
mining, like on
I mean,
vented
the
gas
key, yeah,
and your
yeah,
energy
go
input's
on.
cheap, like less efficient machine is not that bad.
And I mean, the key variable is what is the price point, right? It's like those are the two main inputs, right? Efficiency, like what is your power consumption going to be per hash, and then what is the actual price point of the machine. But then the last piece with this specifically, as we highlighted earlier, is how much money do you save in terms of uptime and upgradability in the long term by moving to a modular setup, which is a harder thing to quantify. It's one of those things that we'll probably see people running numbers for the next 5 years on which was the better outcome, because it's the type of variable that you need time in the market to see it pay off. But I wouldn't be surprised, as long as the price point comes in reasonably close. I wouldn't be surprised if people underappreciate how much money is saved bottom line wise, just in the terms of the modularity of it.
Yeah. It's interesting as you're saying that too. I'm like thinking back to attempted attempts of years past to like compete with Bitmain and MicroBT, going to Dragon Mint specifically. Like they raised a bunch of money
Pure
in
hype.
2016, 2017. Then it took them too long to tape out the ASICs, and then by the time they got to the market, they were completely inefficient and unprofitable. And I think this is again going back to timing. We've talked about ASIC commodification. Like, yeah, Bitmain's at 12 and a half joules per terahash, but 14.1 is not an order of magnitude behind that. And maybe like the timing and the physical limits that the ASICs are beginning to brush up on, like creates the environment where more competition at this level of the Bitcoin network can actually begin to flourish.
Yeah, and then you also have to remember another one that's hard to quantify is reducing third party risk, right? And reliance on third parties. I mean, a lot of miners, their destiny is completely tied into a Bitmain or MicroBT or a combination of both. Um, Having more diversity on the manufacturing side and being able to have diversity on your suppliers and be able to do that as well as, I mean, de-risks a lot of these operations significantly, especially in a world of, good morning tariffs, where you never know if it's going to happen and when it's going to happen.
Yeah.
Trade wars.
It's a good day for Bitcoin. It's a good day for Bitcoin. A lot of people are focused on the price. We got a dump today. I thought we were, I mean, my call last week
I know. Sunday
came
night,
true.
dude. Sunday night, I was laying next to my wife, thinking of you and your price call.
It was the memes. Like he's probably thinking of other women. No, I'm thinking of Marty.
He's like, "Damn, Marty got the price call right."
Uh,
I told you, Marty, though, that it wasn't. It was a good little pumpage. I was feeling it too.
you're right. You had that pump.
We were
That
vibing into it.
I'm trying to think if there's anything. I think everybody like
Meanwhile, we're at like the same price as
yeah
last
118.
Thursday
What are
right
we at?
now.
Like 117 right now.
I
118.
think we're at 118. I got a block clock right in front of me.
We hit 124. We hit a new all-time high in the last 24 hours. It's pretty good. But no, I think the overall tenor here is measured optimism. I think a lot. Everybody in the mining industry uh, has seen a lot. Has been through a lot. I think the PTSD that exists in this industry specifically is relatively high compared to other industries. So I think measured optimism is the best way to describe what are feeling right now a lot of them are excited to get their hands on the machines, begin tinkering with them. You got Econo, Scott from Pod 256 are here, and the at home
BitX.
BitX. Tyler Stevens is here for the what they're doing with like waste heat, at home mining. Those guys are pumped as well. So I think everybody's excited to get their hands on these, begin tinkering. And I think that's actually what's best for Block 2. And it seems like they've been very, like I said, very proactive to talk to as many miners of different types from across the industry, your mega miners, your at-home miners, your off-grid miners. So I think they did a really good job.
Agreed.
Oh,
So what?
go ahead.
I mean, I figure you've been out of it, but today, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent said he was in an interview. I think it was with Fox. Logan, why don't you play the interview? I'd link to it.
A number way above 750 billion. What's the story on gold?
We've got the large gold holding. I doubt we're going to revalue it, but we are going to keep it there, again, as a store of value for the American people. We've also started to get into the 21st century, a Bitcoin strategic reserve. We're not going to be buying that, but we are going to use confiscated assets and continue to build that up. We're going to stop selling that. I believe that Bitcoin reserve at today's prices is somewhere between 15 and 20 billion.
So a lot of people are pointing to this interview as the reason we dumped, because we did dump pretty hard around it. There was also simultaneously PPI numbers were released. So U.S. producer prices, so inflation measured on the producer side, was way higher than expected, which was probably more of the reason, with the expectation that the Fed won't cut because inflation's still running hot, which should not be a surprise to anyone who actually listens to the show and is paying attention. But I want to comment on Bessent's comments. First of all, based on his numbers, that's roughly 125,000 Bitcoin. Which we've been waiting for them to verify how much Bitcoin they actually hold, and there's been a lot of theorizing that the Biden administration sold a lot of Bitcoin towards the end there. But anyway, that's the closest we've gotten to a real number on how much Bitcoin is in the strategic Bitcoin reserve, or whatever they're calling the strategic Bitcoin reserve based on the executive order. And obviously, I think the big highlight is that he said they're not going to buy Bitcoin, and that they're going to continue to confiscate Bitcoin. I mean, they just got Bitcoin from the Samurai case. Obviously, the U.S. government loves civil asset forfeiture, not just in terms of Bitcoin. I would probably push back a little bit on kind of taking him at his word about buying Bitcoin. I wouldn't be surprised if they're playing a little bit of a sleight of hand here. It is very on brand for this administration to say one thing and do another. I would also remind people the single biggest data point, which is that Trump has absolutely filled his bags with as much Bitcoin as possible, including all of his cronies. I mean, right now, his stock, Trump Media, has 15,000 Bitcoin in their treasury. Bro has more Bitcoin than Coinbase. So I would say that's probably the single biggest data point of why Trump would support buying more Bitcoin, and why it makes it still pretty likely that it happens. But regardless, I mean, I think Marty has highlighted this in the past. I mean, the real American Bitcoin treasury is everyone individually stacking for their families and keeping it in self-custody. Particularly in an environment with heavy confiscation, self-custody becomes even more important.
Yeah. It really is the true strategic reserve. And sorry, I'm doing because I think we should also touch on the PPI numbers, because I think a lot of people before.
I think that's the real reason we dropped.
Yeah. And I think that's going to be the big question as we head into the fall and into the year. I think a lot of people are going to try, and they may be right in doing this, to blame tariffs for this, but I think, and it certainly could be the predominant contributing factor, but Logan, pull up the chart. I would not be surprised if this is the main reason. I mean, energy is the first input in anything that you're building. And so like PPI going up significantly could be driven by this electricity chart. If you look at electricity
Yeah, I mean, it's
inflation.
definitely a key part.
Yeah.
I mean, I saw, I think first of all, this is also a bullshit number, just like CPI. But it's 3.3% from a year ago. It's up 3.3% from a year ago. And I think the analysts were saying 2.8% or something, which is a pretty significant miss in terms of inflation being much higher. So it makes sense that the market would react pretty hard, particularly since we were reacting pretty high in the opposite direction in the lead up to it, right? People are getting a little bit frothy and degenerate. We're never going to see 120K Bitcoin again, kind of thing. And then they hit us with the PPI numbers.
Yeah. And again, I think this is going to be an interesting narrative. It's going to be interesting to observe the narrative around not only PPI, but most importantly, electricity prices, because obviously AI is exploding. You have the hyperscalers talking about expanding energy infrastructure. They're obviously consuming a ton of energy, but Logan, pull up this chart too. Like,
and now all the tech bros are on our side in terms of we need to produce more power for society to flourish. By the way, freaks, if you're an audio freak, the electricity chart Marty had Logan pull up, you can just imagine just like a straight upward graph of electricity cost in the US. That's basically what the chart was.
And now we have a dot plot of electricity prices across the US. And if you're not listening, there's a lot of very dark red dots, and that represent electricity prices that are over $225 per megawatt hour, which is 22.5 cents per kilowatt hour, which is insane. And so I think we're beginning to see the effects of the insatiable demand for energy that's coming from the AI hyperscalers, like really begin to affect energy prices, which affects the PPI.
Why is energy so cheap in California? I mean, so I'm looking at this chart. It's mostly like the Eastern Seaboard, Northeast, and Midwest. It's like kind of like a population chart, except for Texas and California. I mean, Texas has had good energy policy for a while now, but California has like one of the worst energy policies in the world.
Well, they import cheap coal electricity from Wyoming, from what I understand. They're not allowed to produce it in state, but they can import it.
But isn't like people, like I always hear like people in California, like their residential, is this industrial? Their residential electricity costs are like Europe prices. It's like, what is like 35 cents a kilowatt hour or whatever.
Solar particular suited to meet air conditioning loads reliably and affordably. Unfortunately, PJM and MISO, even though they operate in 28 states, have less solar and storage than Texas alone. Yeah, so no, these are residential prices, I think.
Maybe is it peak pricing? Maybe they just have better weather.
Yeah, well, I think it's summer and they have way more sunlight, and the solar is actually performing. And
anyway,
I could be wrong.
California can go fuck itself, but shout out them for winning on this chart at least. Guys, we have Mav21 Zap 21,000 sats and Sync Zap 21,000 sats. Thank you, freaks, for your support. You can join the Nostr and Bitcoin live chat at rhr.tv/stream.
Yeah.
Josh is asking in the live chat, why are there no stats for Florida?
That's a good question. I don't know.
They don't have internet down there, so we're not able to track the cost.
Florida man does not like his energy prices.
It looks like that whole south right corner, like the southeast corner, doesn't have any data for it, right? On that chart.
Yeah. That's a good question. Moving on.
Yeah, there's like
Polymarket.
there's zero data in like Georgia and Florida. The whole it like looks like there's not much data in Tennessee either.
Yeah.
Okay,
Wow.
anyway.
Pull up this chart, Logan. This is really interesting because the consensus was, I think there was like a 99.5% Wall Street consensus, not on Polymarket, but 2 days
Yeah,
ago there
I
was going to be.
decided we're gonna highlight Polymarket more often until we have a true Bitcoin prediction market.
Yeah. But you can see here on this chart earlier today when the PPI numbers came out, completely flipped. We were at 55% chance of a 25 bip cut in rates, 38% chance of no change. And now, oh wait, I'm reading
No,
this wrong.
no, they thought it was going to be a 50 bips decrease, right? And instead, now they think it's going to be a 25 bips decrease. Isn't that how you read it?
No, there was like neck and neck was 25 cut and no change at all. Now, I guess they're pricing in.
Oh, that was no change was the highest.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Now they're pricing in a 25 bip decrease at 74%. But no changes, climbing right now. The Fed, man. It's crazy. Like we're looking at a Polymarket chart. The world is trying to guess what a board of governors is going to decide, what one man and his board of governors are going to decide about the price of money. And we're
Well, the
here
best yeah.
looking at betting markets. This is not how monetary systems should run.
Well, I mean, the best prediction market for short-term Fed decisions is actually the Bitcoin price, and it's the most liquid. But yeah, like I said, I'm pretty sure that's besides the fact that we were frothy and it was a good opportunity for market makers to liquidate some short sellers. I mean, some degen longs. I think it was most of the PPI news, not the Bessent interview, that drove us lower today. But guys, I think this is all noise. I mean, I think everyone should be trying to stack as many sats as possible as quickly as possible. I think no one's gonna in a few years. No one's gonna give a shit if you got in at 118 or 124 or 116. I think that's just gonna. It's like, oh, but did you get in at 11K or 13K or 15K or 20K? And we were saying that around then, and it sounded fucking batshit crazy. People were like, "That's a 2x difference." It's like, yeah, okay. Well, now we're sitting here and we're sitting at near 120K, and no one gives a shit if you got in at 10K or 20K. Like,
Right.
doesn't really matter. Just stack as many sats as possible.
Yeah. Shout out to Silent Link. Zapped us 42,000 sats. Go to silent.link. Make sure you're buying your SIM cards in a private way.
It's amazing. Silent Link is amazing. I use it as my daily driver. Starlink went out the other day. I'm able to have 5G internet as a backup, but also as my main driver on my phone. It's fantastic. I use it all over the world. You could pick your provider. Very cost effective, and you just top up with Lightning. Awesome.
Speaking of losing signal, I finally I'm around a bunch of Bitcoiners for the first time in a couple months, and was finally able to use BitChat. And on the bus ride out to the site that we toured today, and we were driving through the wilderness, the boonies of Georgia. Had no cell service, SOS on. It was like sending messages on BitChat. It works. It's pretty cool.
It was in a bus.
Yeah.
That's awesome. The bus is group chat.
Yeah. All right, we're going to do a quick rep today because I got to get back to festivities here with the proto launch. Moving on to New Human Rights Foundation Financial Freedom Report story of the week coming out of Bolivia, where banks limit withdrawals as digital asset usage and inflation climb. In Bolivia, where annual inflation has reached 25% and banks have been limiting withdrawal of US dollars to $100 a week, Bloomberg reports that Bolivians are turning to Bitcoin and digital assets as alternatives to the boliviano. That's a very well-named currency there. I'm just going to call it the boliviano. It's like very close to the US dollar. I'm not the only one using Bitcoin. Christopher Salas, a coffee vendor in La Paz, said there's a barbershop over there and a gym that also accepts satoshis. For Salas, Bitcoin is both a hedge and a protest, a way to preserve the value of my savings, but also a way to go against the system, against bureaucracy. Bolivia's hybrid authoritarian regime lifted a decade-long ban on digital assets in 2024. Since then, the volume of digital asset payments has grown more than fivefold to nearly 300 million in the first half of 2025. University of San Andreas allegedly pays its international faculty in Bitcoin. Carlos Neira, co-founder of Colombian wallet provider Meru, reports a staggering 6,600% increase in Bolivian users since the ban was lifted. For more stories like this, make sure you're signed up for the Financial Freedom Report. Go to financialfreedomreport.org and get on the mailing list. This is a fascinating story. This is another blaring piece of signal. We talked last week about necessity is the mother of all invention. It's also the mother of wider Bitcoin adoption. A 6,600% increase in Bolivian users turning to Bitcoin when their government cracks down is a signal that Bitcoin is working as freedom money. This is great to see.
I mean,
Also
I think
terrible, but great to see.
It's pretty hard for Americans to fathom, first of all, 25% inflation, and second of all, a withdrawal limit of $100 a week. Like, that's fucking insane. Like, this is why Bitcoin exists. Bitcoin is the lifeboat. It's there for you if you need it and when you need it, and no one can stop you from using it except yourself.
Yeah, and it's crazy that Bloomberg was reporting that language specifically. What do you say? For Salas, Bitcoin is both a hedge and a protest. So Bloomberg actually covering the actual news, the actual story on the ground.
Love it. I mean, I have my qualms with Bloomberg, but I will say that their incentive model compared to most corporate media is pretty strong because they make their money on the terminals, not really on the news. The news is kind of a loss leader. So the product tends to be a little bit better.
Yeah.
I don't have it on the list, but before we get to the next topic, there was some concern yesterday about Google Play banning self-custody wallets. They have since clarified that was not their intention. I will say that app stores in general are intentionally vague and a massive centralization risk for us, like central point of failure risk. Basically, like Apple and Google can decide if people can get your app or not. This is one of the cool reasons that progressive web apps exist. I think it's also, one of the important reasons things like graphene exist, and why it's so important for us to have open source wallets that are just viral in nature and not controlled by any individual. I will say that someone asked for a tutorial of how to sideload on Android while this was all going down. Like, you literally just download the APK file and press install. Super simple. You can do it very easily. But I mean, I'm pretty sure that this was, people have their conspiracy theories or whatnot, but I'm pretty sure that this was just a comms fuck up. They have thousands of employees, like 12 of them fucked something up, didn't really understand what was going on. Bitcoin Twitter freaked the fuck out about it. And then they clarified.
Yeah. I mean, Google responded to Jack. They responded to the TFTC account covering
They
it.
responded to everyone. They like literally just copy and pasting the response over and over again. And it was like probably 12 people that like updated the docs.
But I think this, M saying it in the YouTube chat, shout out to Lola. That is true. Shout out to Lola and the Rage, who were first on this story. But I do think, I think Lola in the Rage clarified today that there is some nuance around it because there have been a lot of sort of malicious Bitcoin wallet apps, quote unquote, that have been getting into the Google Play Store. And I think they're trying to sort of fix that problem. And this was like some collateral PR damage that was a manifestation of them trying to solve the malicious app problem. I think Electrum got kicked off. because they were being accused of being malicious. But
look, I appreciate Lola. I consider her a friend, and I'm very grateful the Rage exists. App stores fucking suck. Working with either of the big app stores fucking suck. They make your life fucking miserable when you're trying to submit apps, regardless of what type of app you have. All of that is true. They block updates. They ask for more information. You have to go back and forth. Historically, Apple's been worse, but Google's also pretty bad. The one saving grace we have on the Google side is that you can sideload, and you can also install outside app stores very easily. The one that we've highlighted in the past is Zap Store. You can go to zapstore.dev, which uses Nostr Web of Trust for signed releases, and makes it very easy to publish apps. But also you can just download an APK file from GitHub. Apple lost a case in Europe. So in Europe, you can install alternative app stores, which was a big win. But I will just reiterate that in this situation, I do think
problems mess up.
I mean, I think in practice, like from last week or 2 weeks ago to like the day of the release or whatever, before everyone freaked out, like I don't think anything really changed. It's good for people to be on alert. I'll never tell people not to be on alert, but I think this one was a false alarm, and it wasn't like actually some big conspiracy where they're like testing out the waters, but because like Jack Dorsey tweeted, they decided not to ban all Bitcoin self-custody wallets.
Choke Point 3.0, dude. It's here. It's here.
I actually do. I saw Stoney's been talking about that a lot, and I do agree with him that there is a choke point 3.0 happening on the self-custody side. This has been a trend that I think we've highlighted for years and have been worried about. I just don't think this was necessarily it.
Yeah. If we are going to raise legitimate alarm bells, I think you point at the White House crypto report in that section on extending the Patriot Act.
Yeah.
That's the big one that we have to make sure it doesn't get included into.
No, and I mean, I think like you can group with this whole concept of choke point 3.0, you can group the Samurai and Tornado Cash cases in there too. You go after privacy and self-custody. And I think, people are like, oh, well, I don't use CoinJoin or other Bitcoin privacy tools, so it doesn't affect me. Like they start there, and then they, start pushing on just, naive self-custody, regular self-custody, and claim that is a privacy tool in itself, because it does inherently offer you greater seizure resistance and not on-demand tracking.
Yeah, and not directly related, but somewhat directly related. Don't sleep on Bessent's comments this morning about not buying and leaning into.
Well, this is something that's concerned me for a while, right? So like civil asset forfeiture is already fucking horrible, no matter what, right? And this is not unique to Bitcoin, right? Like they pull you over and you have a bunch of cash in your car, they just take your cash, and then you have to like try and claw it back later. It's incredibly fucked up, and specifically historically with civil asset forfeiture, it's like the individual police departments that do it get to keep it as funding. Which is even more of a broken incentive, because oftentimes they're underfunded and they would like to use that extra money and claim that it's for drugs or whatever. But with like the formalization of an SBR and the U.S. government saying that they're going to hold it and not just immediately sell it, it does create a very strong incentive to ramp up the seizures. This is what we saw with Executive Order 6102 with gold. This is also what we saw in Mandibles, where they went after the gold because they were desperate and had a direct incentive to do it. So it would not surprise me to see confiscations ramp up, but it's a trend that has been ramping up for a long time before any of this happened. There is actually a relatively easy solution, which is when we confiscate cocaine, we burn it. So we should just burn Bitcoin when we confiscate it, and then there's no direct incentive, and every holder of Bitcoin is equally benefited when the supply is reduced. So I think if I had my wish list on any government policy thing, that would probably be one of my top ones, is NEC's Bitcoin is automatically burned. Do I think that's actually tenable in the short term and that's actually going to happen? No, but I still like to put it out there from time to time.
Let's just, I hope they just don't seize the Bitcoin. Let's not even get to the point of them.
They're going to seize it regardless. So they should burn it. They should burn it if they seize it.
Yeah. I think we need to stay, and we said this last week, and I think it's become a more prominent trend where I think a lot of people are caught up in the fervor and perceived optimism of the direction the country is going under the second Trump administration. But I would have your antennae up, and just aware. Like there's a lot of sleight of hands happening out there. And then another thing, like, you don't have it on the list, but like Bo Hines just stepping down from his position out of nowhere.
I mean, I think that is, people are like, oh, like he doesn't think like he's not bullish on the Bitcoin trajectory inside the government. I think that is just like a fucking classic revolving door in hyperspeed. Like he got in, no one knew who the fuck he was, like came out of nowhere, had a massive level of influence and notoriety like thrown on him. And now he wants to front run what looks like a very strong Bitcoin bull run in the private sector, because that's where he can profit from it. That's my read on him leaving, not him being like, oh, like they sold out and they're not actually going to do like my ideological Bitcoin journey here in the White House.
Yeah, and I saw people surfacing the tweet his dad sent out. Apparently, there's some like shitcoinery going on.
Yeah, he's an advisor to a shitcoin.
Yeah,
his dad.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they're just trying to cash in. I wouldn't be surprised if we see him link up with a Bitcoin treasury company, like all the influencers are doing these days.
Been a lot of talk about that behind the scenes here, and I just worry. I worry for a lot of otherwise sensible Bitcoiners in my mind jumping on the train and getting their asses handed to them at some point down the line.
A lot of reputations are being destroyed this cycle.
Yeah.
Short-term thinking. You got to think long-term. By the way, to the new freaks, just because I realize there might be some confusion, when you burn Bitcoin, you basically just send it to a provably unspendable address. You're not like taking cold cards and like lighting them on fire.
Do you think people are assuming
I think there's probably like a few hundred that are listening to the show that are thinking that's what I meant. So it's important.
I mean, I guess you could technically, if you create a private public key pair, backed it up with a seed phrase, and only have it on one hardware wallet, you could technically like burn the Bitcoin by throwing it in a fire and never having access to it again.
Yeah, but that would require, like, the cool part about this is it doesn't actually require us to trust that so I say the government burns cocaine when they seize it, but how do we know they actually burn it? Like, I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of that cocaine goes to corrupt,
goes up the noses,
like corrupt bureaucrats and shit. But with Bitcoin, you can actually prove it, right? Like we can see on chain, they got this Bitcoin, then they sent it to an unspendable address. And then from there, we know it can't be spent again. Logan, did we lose Marty or did I get lost?
Marty looks frozen.
Nice. So you see how I was a professional about it. I just kept talking. And then I brought it up. Okay, so I know Marty's tight. So even though he's lost internet, I'm going to continue to the next story. The founder of SimpleX, one of the latest and most promising encrypted messaging apps, has wrote a blog post about why he is not implementing MLS, which a lot of people have positioned as the successor to Signal protocol, which right now is like the gold standard of encrypted messaging. Signal has pushed back on implementing MLS for a bit now. They really like their Signal protocol. The biggest trade-off with the Signal protocol is that it's really built for two-person messaging. But if you want to do group chats, basically what you're doing is you're doing like a bunch of DMs in the background. So it scales really bad for large group chats. Don't worry, Marty. The show goes on.
Did you catch my
And
federal comment?
no, what was your federal? That's why they cut you off your internet.
Yeah, the cocaine may disappear up to the noses of the federal agents in a lot of cases. I wouldn't be shocked.
That's what they mean when they say burning cocaine.
Come back later, please.
You're not going to have her do the room while you're in there?
No. They already did the room too. I don't know why they're coming back.
So if you listen to Citadel Dispatch, you might have heard my conversation with Jeff and Max from the White Noise Project, where they're trying to meld Nostr and MLS together. And it's interesting, they did get a shout out here. So basically, the SimpleX's founder, he has two main concerns with MLS. First of all, he thinks it's overcomplicated for very little, for what amounts to scalability improvements when you can deal with the current scalability issues anyway. So he thinks it's overcomplicated. In general, you want to avoid overcomplicated things, because if you fuck up one little thing, then your users are at risk. And then the second piece is the whole threat model for these encrypted messaging apps is that the server operator shouldn't be able to compromise your chat. That's who you're protecting yourself from. And in MLS, it requires effectively a trusted authentication server that can man in the middle. Basically, they can join a group and pretend they're Marty or me or whatever. And in that handshake and that key exchange, the other user doesn't realize. And so he actually questions if it's actually secure. But he says with White Noise, because White Noise uses open relays and Nostr pub keys, it is actually the only implementation of MLS that makes sense to him. And he's optimistic on what the guys at White Noise are cooking, because it is still very much beta and not very reliable right now, but promising nonetheless. So anyway, if this kind of stuff interests you, you should definitely go read the blog post. It's not that long. And his TLDR at the top is, if you accept trust me, bro, as your security model, then MLS is perfect for you.
Yeah. A lot of talk about the intersection of combining these open protocols, whether it's Bitcoin and Nostr, MLS and Nostr. I think it's becoming clear that there is an incredible place for Nostr to play as a connective tissue between all these technologies. Like BitChat, like when I was on the app, on the road, like was with Steve Lee, a bunch of others, like able to verify that they're in my contact list now, and then we'll be able to message each other, go through a relay, and when I get back online, it'll be there. It's really cool.
Yeah, when you're close to each other, it goes through the Bluetooth mesh, and then when you're far away from each other, it goes through Nostr seamlessly, and the user doesn't even realize.
Yeah. You don't have this on the list, but Logan, did I put it in? I'm going to put this in the chat. It was cool to see. Shout out to all of our friends at HODL Debify. Baltic Honey Badger conference was held over the last weekend. It was another massive success, but this is, I think, one of the bigger stories to come out of that conference is you had an ARC mainnet sort of experiment with the merchants at the conference. All the payments were being run by ARC and Lightning Network in the back end. So
I mean, I think a major piece of context here is that the annual Honey Badger conference in Riga, and as Marty said, run by the team at HODL, tends to be one of the larger, more hardcore conferences. So people tend to spend Bitcoin a lot more there. All their merchants always accept Bitcoin. They always have like a high count of merchant payments per conference goer there. So it was a perfect place to test it. And basically what Kooks did is he used ARC on the back end for merchants. but on the front end, it just looked like a BTC Pay server Lightning invoice. So conference goers didn't even know that ARC was being used. They could just pay with any Lightning wallet they wanted, and Lightning was the glue. But in the back end, the merchants didn't have to have Lightning channels. They didn't have to run their own nodes, and they were just able to accept Bitcoin and then settle it out on chain afterwards. But they were accepting it on ARC effectively, and it seemed to have worked flawlessly. Everyone said that I talked to said they had a really good experience with it, and I would just put that out there that both ARC and Spark show a lot of promise here. I'm pretty excited about them, and the fact that they're able to use this interoperable network that is Lightning, so that we don't have to wait for all the different apps to update in order to support them, is absolutely massive.
Yeah, and here's another example of this coming from Baltic Honey Badger. Different context. So this is from Eric Sirion, the sort of inventor, founder of the Fedimint protocol, the distributed Chaumian mint. Like, he sent eCash to an ARC wallet, and it was possible because of the Lightning Network being this connective tissue. So, to your point, Eric says it here, like, our wallets have not been talking to each other. Like, they haven't been building with the same goals in mind, completely different layer twos on Bitcoin, yet they were able to complete a transaction between each other because of the lingua franca. That is Lightning.
Yeah, right now you have Cashew wallets, you have Fedimint wallets, you have ARC wallets, you have Spark wallets, and you have Liquid wallets that all do Lightning swaps that can interact with any Lightning wallet on the network or interact with each other, which to me is probably the single biggest success of Lightning, and is something that we're just watching play out right now. And the cool part there is we could have a whole 2-hour episode on the different trade-off models of each of those. They all offer users different pros and cons, and users can choose without having to worry about, does my wallet, can I go to Steak and Shake and spend with this wallet or not? Or can I be a merchant and receive Bitcoin payments from my customer? Because you get the benefit of the entire network effect, regardless of which individual layer 2 you use, or in the case of Cashew and Fed. I mean, there's all nuances about what's a layer 2 and what's not, but regardless of which tech stack you use, that they're all Lightning capable, and you'll be able to send and receive from each other. Pretty awesome.
It is. This is where the signal is. Everybody's focused on treasury companies. Is the government going to stack? What's happening with censorship laws in Europe? Noise. People are building the tech stack. No, not noise, but the last part, not noise.
Our next story is about Meredith Whittaker, the head of Signal, pushing back on censorship laws in Europe. And I've said many times in the past that I think she's just one of the single best advocates for the freedom side of this conversation, and does a way better job at arguing our case than me or many other people can. So I put the archive link in there, but I just suggest she makes a lot of good arguments, very strong arguments about why these laws are all about control, and they're short-sighted, and they're bad for society, they're bad for human flourishing, and why we need to push back on them. And she specifically talks a lot about dystopian AI type situations, which I think are going to become more and more of an issue as people pour their deep and darkest secrets into ChatGPT and other closed walled systems that are very easy to track and control you. Marty, the next story is on this same bent. I don't know if you saw this. Click the second link, Logan, the X link. I have an archive link, which is a write-up, and then this one's the actual video. Did you see this?
I did see this. It's freaky.
So this is a new AI surveillance company that basically indexed a ton of photos and videos from Airbnb and Zillow and Google Maps, and they can take a little piece of any photo, or most photos, whether it's inside or outside, and within a matter of seconds, pinpoint the location of where it was taken. So in this demo, they're looking at a TikTok video. They take a tiny little screenshot of like the corner of the room, and then they put it in the AI tool, and then like 10 seconds later, or less than 10 seconds later, it comes back with the exact address of where that video was taken. And they're selling their services to governments, to law enforcement. I mean, this is kind of the crazy thing about surveillance tech being commoditized, is that it used to be like you had to be, the US or Russia or China or Israel or, a very sophisticated government to use this against your citizens. Now it's like you just pay like a SaaS fee of like
Just scrape them,
$1,000
just
per
like
user or
Airbnb.
something. And then you have access to it. So like any tin pot dictator anywhere is able to access these tools, very accessible. And I think this is I put the archive link to the 404 Media write-up. I think everyone should read this. The tech is called Geospy. They're not the only ones doing this. But just be very wary about what you're posting on the internet and what you're posting publicly. You combine this with social media, you combine this with posting your life on Facebook or whatever social you use. And it gets really dark really, really quickly. And I don't think people understand the implications here. And it's going to be something we're grappling with over the next few decades as the fallout happens.
It's not even going to be a few decades. It's going to be a few years.
Dude, it's so bad because it's not even like, as someone who like has been intimately paying attention to this stuff and, has a growing family now and is concerned about like what the digital footprint is like, it's not even just your own decisions, right? It's like who you're hanging out with, what they're posting, what they're sharing, all of that combined together. And these AI tools, like everyone wants to speculate on what they'll be capable in 5 years, 10 years or whatnot. But right now, what they're really good at is sorting through large amounts of information. And that's exactly the kind of tooling you need to make data surveillance that much more powerful.
Yeah. And I paused a little bit because I didn't see that exact video, but AI
Did you
gone
see the
wrong.
external one?
I saw the one, I think it was GeoGuessr AI. They just took somebody's avatar on X and it had like a piece of a building in the background.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That was like, it used Google Maps and it knew like the exact cross street.
Yeah. It's very creepy.
But I mean, just think about like the Zillow listing for the house like you're staying in right now. Like there's pictures of every single room and these AI tools have scraped all of it. They know like exactly what the internals of all of these houses are.
Yeah, like even if you like buy a new house and it had taken of it on
100%.
Zillow, you don't even need Zillow, like Google Maps if you have like a if you're outside.
Well, that's the outside. Yeah.
Yeah. Fuck. Damn.
Be aware, freaks.
Be aware. It's a brave new world. MM's commenting on YouTube. Ted Kaczynski was right. Uncle Ted did warn us about this. Uncle Ted did warn. This was his nightmare that drove him a little insane. It was actually probably MK Ultra and Harvard experiments that drove him insane, but he warned about this. He warned. What was his manifesto? Techno-industrial... forget what it was called. Somebody in the comments will recall.
I do not remember the name of Ted's manifesto, but the theme was there. Yes.
Yeah. All right. On to more optimistic. We're going to end on an incredible white pill. American HODL really doing his best to drag people to Nostr. And as any of you, Industrial Society, that's what it was called. If any of you are missing his content on X because he has gone Nostr only this year, he's back to vlogging. And if you want to see it, you have to get to Nostr. Actually, you don't, because people are starting to cross post on X, which is a good signal. But
I mean, that's always been my theory on like reach and network effects. Like, you actually don't need to get all the users for something like Nostr to be incredibly useful. You just need enough attention that the top content gets reposted to other socials. And then you need the reverse. You need enough people that are just posting top content from other socials onto Nostr. And I mean, we've seen this historically with the centralized platforms. Like, I've never installed TikTok in my life, but when I saw tons of TikTok videos because people cross post the most viral stuff and the most interesting stuff. But yeah, if you want to see his vlogs, the easiest way is to download Primal in your favorite app store until it gets banned. What?
You just call them vlogs?
That's what he's calling them. He's very excited about it. Did you see the title? He called it Nostr Vlogs. Vlogs were like a thing in like the early 2000s or whatever. He's got like his full gyroscope setup. Like, isn't that what it's called? Oh, Nostr series number 2. Well, he's specifically called them vlogs. Blast from the past.
Vlogs?
Oh, is it vlogs? I guess
It's
like
vlogs.
blogs.
Yeah.
I don't know. Well, there's always got to be one commentary that we have that we get wrong here, or at least I get wrong.
Did you notice he tagged us earlier today? In a
Yeah,
comment?
he said we should post more content on Nostr.
No, vlogs specifically.
Does he know? Is he aware that for the last 2 years, every week we posted rabbit hole recaps to Nostr? Like, he's got to catch up to us.
Not Nostr only. I'm gonna do a vlog after this.
Okay,
and then I'm gonna write a blog about all the stuff we talked about later tonight.
I don't know if I've ever heard vlog said out loud. But anyway, you can.
That shocks me.
If you want to if you want to tag along and you want to zap American HODL, like I said, you can download Primal in your favorite app store. And just in general, freaks, like, if you enjoy the show, it's Primal or any Nostr app is a great way to interact with us. Like, I would already call it a massive success in terms of it just being an awesome way to interact with the ride or die freaks. And I appreciate all the freaks that are messing around with us over there. If you used it once and haven't used it in a while, it's gotten a lot better, and it gets better. It gets better every day. We're working on it.
It really has. And before we forget, I know that was the last topic. It would be remiss of me not to read the many
BTC Pins is telling me I'm wrong, in his vlog, not vlog. Well, I promise you, this is the last time I'm ever going to say it. So,
no, I think we should
start.
I think we should like vlog. I'm gonna vlog tonight.
I want to be like, whatever. Fuck you all.
BTC Pins is gonna go buy some sea logs and then go dancing later. It's I like it.
Well, anyway, his American HODL's last vlog was very inspirational.
It always
is really good. You should go listen to it.
He knows how to get you jacked up. You know what gets me jacked up? When the freaks like the content and they boost it. Here are the top boost over 21.
Good memory.
Over 21,000 sats from Rabbit Hole Recap 369. Nice. Bitcoin is going much higher. It did go much higher, and then we're back to where it was last week. 22,222 sats from our girl Pringle Mac. Palindrome boost. 2s across the board. Life is short. Don't be a toddler. Man up. Make your own life count. Love, Sil. Love you, Sil. Next up, another palindrome boost from Keith Sharp. It's that time of the year. 21,212 sats. Shilling Tab Conf 7, the Atlanta Bitcoin Conference, October 13th to 16th. A technical conference, pleb friendly, teasing the ATL BTC meetup. That's meetup with an EA dinner satellite event on Tuesday evening, the 14th. Stay tuned. Stay humble. Stack sats. Peace and love. Thank you, Keith. Last but not least, our good friend Ben Justman, 21,000 sats. Have either of you bought anything by paying with a Zap yet?
No.
Like zapping and receiving something? I've paid sats accumulated from people zapping me, but never.
No. What they mean is some of them like zap. Like he'll be like, so Ben has the best wine in the business, Bitcoin winemaker. I had the pleasure of touring his home vineyard and getting to know him, and it was really great. So like sometimes it'll be like, like him or Soap Miner will be like, if you zap 20,000 sats, then I'll send you supplies. I'll send you what you want, or whatever the number is, right? And then I think they coordinate in DMs afterwards. I just don't think the interface is really there yet for that. I mean, first of all, I hate Nostr DMs. So I don't really like that coordination method. I'm just old school. I like going to like a website and pressing buy, putting my shipping address in, and scanning an invoice. But I like zapping. I have zapped value for value.
Now, you got me thinking now, particularly around the shipping address. It would be great if there was a way to be able to selectively reveal that after zapping for something intentional like that.
Yeah, I mean, this is like a little bit, it's kind of cool because it's got like a little bit of a digital farmer's market vibe.
Yeah.
First of all, you see the commerce happening, right? There's a social signal alongside it, right? So like, like Odell just bought some wine. But then the second piece is then you have to hand the shipping address and facilitate the actual trade after the fact.
Yeah. Yeah, if there was a way you can like encrypt your shipping address and then selectively do it.
No, I think what you would do is the ideal setup would be, first of all, we fix Nostr DMs and implement the white noise spec across everything once it's actually reliable. I saw Pseudo Carlos mentioning in the comments that he hasn't been able to get white noise to work. Don't worry, that's not user error. It's very early alpha. I also have a lot of difficulty with it. I haven't had one successful message with it yet. But once we fix Nostr DMs and we have signal level privacy on them and forward secrecy and backward secrecy, you could imagine a situation where as soon as you zap, a bot messages you and asks for your shipping address. And your app on your side could recognize that and automatically provide your shipping address through the encrypted DM. And you could just handle it like that. It'd be relatively easy.
Yeah.
But the hard part is fixing Nostr DMs.
Hey,
we're working on that.
Rome wasn't built in a day. Nostr DMs won't be perfected in a day. Okay?
It's true.
Everybody, calm down. I'm going to get ready for my vlog to respond to American HODL. I can't believe you called it a vlog. Like, I thought he was joking because I watch it and I was like, I don't remember him saying vlog.
I never even considered how to pronounce it. Out of all my pronunciation issues, I don't know if that's my biggest one, but I'm glad you guys are having fun with it. I see a bunch of people in the comments.
Don't denigrate him, Marty.
It's a very rare occasion where I get to call out your mispronunciation.
Fair enough. Well, I'm looking forward to your vlog.
Yeah. This is great. Guys, bullish day for Bitcoin. Bullish week for Bitcoin across the board.
Did you see BTC pins? That is the new Marty. We like to switch it up for you freaks.
Yeah. Don't get caught up in the noise of SBR, Bitcoin treasury companies. I mean, you can get caught up in it if you want to. I don't think it's as productive as many others seem to think it is. But I think if you look at what's happening in the space, again, ARC mainnet being tested at Baltic Honey Badger. I mean, you mentioned Spark. There's a lot of very prominent, capable Bitcoiners at this conference on the technical side that are very excited about Spark as well. We've got the new rig. We've got the rig from Proto out there.
We got Fleet.
It's vibes are high. It's happening. A little price dump today. Don't get caught up, like Matt said. Doesn't matter if you buy at 118 or 127. You're going to look back years from
look
now.
At that little price call.
Yeah.
Well said. I agree. Ignore the noise or try and filter the signal. You don't have to get mad every day about something new.
Yeah.
Focus on what's important. Focus on what we can actually affect and what we can change. It's all coming together, but the grind continues. It's going to continue to be a grind, and just stay humble and stack sats.
Yeah, I know you wanted to end it there. You had like a really good outro. but I think we should bring this up because it is like it went underreported. I know we were talking about it in our DMs.
What do you got for us, Marty?
Stoneridge.
Oh, I didn't see this.
Yes, you did.
Oh, I did see this. Yeah, we were talking about this.
Yeah. But I don't know, for anybody who hasn't read Ross's annual letter from Stoneridge last year, highly recommend you go read it. There was a lot of, he was sort of alluding to a lot of things that Stoneridge may lead into in the future, and they've been acquiring a lot of natural gas assets over the last few years, and they're continuing that. So the news story here, I'm bringing it up because they acquired $1.3 billion worth of oil and gas assets from ConocoPhillips. And if you go back and read his annual letter from 2024, there was a lot of sort of alluding to, we want to optimize the sort of revenue of these assets that we're acquiring with Bitcoin mining. So this is a portfolio of over 11 gigawatt hour.
My favorite part about this presser is Ross Stevens' quote where he said, "Powered by a uniquely non-fiat focused energy platform," which I love that as a commentary. It's a non-fiat energy platform.
Yeah. So this is something to pay, like they're working quietly in the background. This is something to pay attention to. They could be like a sleeper in the mining industry in the years ahead. Or years from now, they will not be a sleeper, but it seems like they're building pretty methodically in the background.
Love it. Peace and love, freaks.
Stay humble, stack sats.